So now let us move ahead and understand what is author's tone. What is author's tone? Okay. So now we understood purpose. We understood purpose, right? What is purpose? We understood, right? But then what is tone? Purpose is why you have written something. Tone is how have you written it. Tone is how have you written it. What does it mean? It basically means, let's say as a manager today, I evaluate your work. Okay. And after evaluating your work, I realize that there are a lot of mistakes we've done and the work is not like up to the mark. Now I want to tell that to you, right? So I call up a meeting with you and I set up an agenda, right? What is the agenda of the meeting? To tell you what's wrong, right? To tell you what's wrong with the presentation, to discuss the presentation, let's say. That's the agenda, to discuss the presentation that you created. So this is the why. Why is the meeting happening? To discuss this. Now, now we are discussing how your presentation was or how you do conclusions or what quality of work it was. Now, there are multiple ways I can take it up. One way, I can be really soft and diplomatic. I can take the analytical approach where I'll be like, okay, about your thing, these are the positives, these are the negatives. The negatives outweigh positives. The positives are also good. You did good, but you could have improved here and there, right? Versus, I take a very questioning wala route where I'm like, how are you even like probably criticize also that were you even a good fit? Are you even worthy? I am now questioning why did I even hire you? Are you capable of anything ever? I can do that, right? Or I can shout, I can be extremely aggressive, right? I'm gonna fire you because you're this person, that person, whatever. So now there's an agenda that was fixed. But the tone that I took were different tones. I could be diplomatic, I could be critical, I could be questioning you, I could be aggressive. So that is what tone is. That author takes up a topic, author writes a dimension on some dimension, author writes the article with some purpose, and then author decides to take a tone in which that purpose will be met. So tone is basically author's attitude towards a topic. Author's attitude while writing a topic. Okay. Okay. For example, I'll give you another small example. Let's say I have one event, something that happened. Okay. Um, Again, we'll talk about Ria and Neha's fight because everybody understands gossip really well. So we are talking about Ria and Neha's fight, and then Vidhi comes and tells me that, ma'am, you know what, Ria and Neha fought. They were standing. Yes, you know what, Neha stole credit for the presentation that Ria had made, which made the higher authority notice her, and now she's getting promotion. So Ria was really upset. She called Neha out, and then they had a spat publicly. So now everybody knows they had a fight. This is what happened in her office. So what did she do? She narrated the incident to me. Right? She informed, Vidhi informed that this happened, then this happened, then this happened, and so. Versus, let's say, Nitya comes. Nitya comes and Nitya is like, ma'am, you know what? I was, uh, I came back, I was at office today and it was around 2 o'clock and I had my lunch. So I was coming back from lunch break. And as soon as I enter the office, I see there's a fight happening. There's Ria, there's Neha, and they're literally yelling at each other. And everybody is circling them and listening to what has happened. Okay. Now I also stood there trying to understand, but I was completely clueless. So then I kept asking people, somebody would tell. Then I reached out to Vidhi, and then Vidhi told me that apparently Ria and Neha had been working on this presentation for 4 weeks. And Ria claimed that she had done 80% of the work because Neha pretended to be sick all the time. But when it came to taking the credit of it, Neha was very sly and she cunningly let the higher ups know that she was the one who has contributed the most. And so on and so forth. What's the difference? The difference is that Vidhi told facts, right? She informed. What did she do? She informed. Or let's say, okay, the purpose, okay, let's understand this. Purpose in both the cases. What was the purpose in both the cases, Vidhi and Nitya? Both came. What was the purpose? They wanted to tell me that there was a fight, right? The purpose was to inform, right? The purpose was to inform me that there was a fight in their office, right? But what are the different tones they took? Vidhi took a informative or explanatory tone, where she just explanatory tone, where she just told me what all happened, versus what Nitya did was describe. She took a descriptive tone where she described the time, the place where everybody was standing. She made me imagine the entire scenario of what had happened. That becomes descriptive tone. So this is how the purpose of the author could be same, but the tones could be different. Are we clear on this? Do we understand it better? The difference between tone and purpose? Yeah, very good. So now let us map the actual tones to the purposes that we have learned so far. So pehle to I will tell you what tones are there, right? So just we referred to two tones just now. They were neutral, objective, facts only. The way Nitya told also. Nitya told, the way I described, right? Nitya was describing, but was she adding her opinions? Did she say that Riya was a bad person or Neha was a bad person or who is a bitch and who is not? No. Did she do that? No. She was describing only. That this person was standing, then this happened, then I went there, and then this had happened, and that. So still information is only happening. There's no opinion. As I told you, in exploratory and in to inform, to explore, these two purposes, there is no opinion. Here also she did not give opinion, right? So these are neutral, objective, fact-based tones. These are completely fact-based. There's no emotions, no judgment. She did not say, dude, I had so much fun, look at them fighting. No, she just told what was happening. There were just facts. So there are two ways you can tell facts. Either you can inform or you can describe. So descriptive and informative are two tones. Okay. Second, we have fact-based opinions. We have tones which cover facts-based opinion. Earlier there were just facts. Now there are fact-based opinions, where now you are analyzing or interpreting them. Right? Where you are telling me about the same fight, but now you go like, you start analyzing that what could have happened. Like probably I think that in the meeting room, because Riya is a bit shy, she might have just been quiet. And then Neha is very extrovert, she started speaking. And then obviously on the face, everybody thought that she is the one who has done most of the work. Well, that was wrong. Right? So now you're giving your opinions. Now you're no, but this is explanatory again. Now you're exploring what could be the reasons. But versus you're like giving opinions in a form that I think what Neha did was wrong, but what Riya did was not right either. Right? Because Riya could have taken stand when they were at office. It doesn't make any sense for them to fight in front of people. But then at the same time, I feel like, come on, if when somebody's hurt and she might have tried to tell Neha normally, but then Neha also is this person, no, that she started yelling. So now you are basically surveying the positives and negatives of both the people of the situation. If yelling like this in the office was right or wrong, it could have been handled in some different way. And then you could be supporting or criticizing. You could be supporting that, yeah, it is valid. At times it happens that you can, get in such a scene. And at times you can be critical, but see, whatever the reason, I completely despise this. This is not how it needs to be handled. Really bad. Really bad. Let alone who took the credit or whatever, but is this how you behave in office? I'm so done with this. Right? So now you looked at the facts, the fight. You did not add any imaginary thing all by yourself. And you're now giving opinions on that fact. Either you mention both the opinions, the positives, negatives, so analytical, but if you just take one side, positive or negative, to supportive and critical. Okay? So this is how fact-based opinions valid tones are there. Then third kind of tone we have is opinion-heavy, verdict-driven tones. That now you're not neutral anymore. You are not taking clear stands. So you take clear stands by saying this could have been done. Right? These are the actions that HR could take. Right? Assertive tone. This is how something must be. Same thing. Prescriptive is just suggestion. Suggestion is how something should be done. Right? If you say ki, this must be taken up with the HR. It was clearly not done. It must be taken with the HR. You are asserting. But now you're telling ki what HR should do. They should call them in the office. They should figure out what has happened. give them the last warning, and probably write it as a remark in their final year review. So now you're giving suggestions on the actions to be taken. Okay. Then you have cautionary. Cautionary, if this is not taken for, people will feel that this is a normal behavior. And then the office environment will become chaotic. So if not this, then this will happen. Caution. Corrective. Corrective is probably something like, again, on the lines of what could have happened, but it's more like I told you now that when you take the this is not X but Y wala route, right? That is when you're correcting. The common belief is that this is not what office environment is like, and you're like, but then it's okay. Like it's time now that that people start accepting that this was one of events, right? So everybody's thinking this is wrong, and you are like, it's okay. Take it as one of events, and it won't happen again. So you're correcting it. That it was not preposterous, it was okay. Okay. And then last is a fourth group of tones, which is idea thought driven tones. Shapes thinking, possibilities, very exploratory kind, where you are suggesting that you are hinting at possibilities, how things can be managed. Prescriptive is you're telling how to do it. Suggestion is what can happen, what you could, right? Like your mother or a person, like as an elder sister or anybody, I would tell you that if your stomach is aching, you can do this, that, try to sleep on time, try to wake up on time. But the doctor writes you prescription. Doctor doesn't suggest. Doctor tells you sleep on time, wake up on time, take medicine at this time. So that is prescriptive. It's authority driven, verdict driven. While this is just thought driven, that if you could try this managing your schedule, you'll be fine. You won't have migraine. Your stomach and your head will be okay. So that would be suggestive tone. Reflective tone is when the words like looking back is there. When you're pondering on the past, you're reflecting on, you're introspecting about the past, and that is deepening your understanding about something. Predictive is when you are predicting the future. Optimistic, pessimistic outcomes of the future. And didactic is when you're trying to teach something, when you get philosophical, like I often get in class. I talk about life, and I start talking about life. So that's didactic tone. When you're preaching something, when you're talking about life, ethics, morals, etc. Right? Now let us map these tones to purposes in order to understand that what is what. Okay. So firstly, we have this neutral bucket. Where does this clearly go? What kind of tone this is? Where does this clearly go? Which purpose are these tones associated with? Good. Which purpose? I want everybody to answer. What all we have? We have 5 purposes. To inform, explain, one thing only. Another purpose is to explore. Then we have to analyze, evaluate. Then we have to take a stand, persuade. And then we have to question or challenge. These are the only 5 purposes we have. Very good, very good. So this goes to the first purpose. What is the first purpose? To inform / explain. So an article can be completely fact heavy, facts only, where the purpose of it is for author to inform us about something, and author might take an informative or a descriptive tone to do that. Right? So remember this, write it down in your notebooks. Facts only passage, facts given to you, definitions, examples, right? Types of something. So this is very easy. This is fact. The purpose is to inform or explain. Author can take 2 routes. Author either can have informative tone or author can have a descriptive tone. Very, very straightforward. Then where does the second bucket go to? Achha, by the way, okay, this is done now. This is done. Let us go purpose-wise. To explore. Explore is idea-driven, right? So this fourth bucket is our idea bucket, right? Right? This idea bucket, this entirely goes to our purpose number 2. To explore. author is exploring here, right? What could be the different possibilities of your stomachache? Exploring. Mother said this, father said this, Socrates said that, Albert Einstein said this another thing. Anything could be true. Okay. Reflective is, even last year my stomach was aching. So I think that could be the reason. But then yesterday my flatmate's stomach was also aching. That makes me realize that stomach ache is a problem that commonly people face. Okay. Reflective. Predictive. Dude, I know that there was this one person whose stomach was aching and they got a cancer. I know other person whose stomach was aching and then they had hernia, right? And one other person had a stomach ache, they got heart attack. So any of that could be happening. So I'm predicting the future with you. So I'm predictive, pessimistic future outcome, right? Exploring. Didactic, I take it to probably morals or I start talking about life, stomach ache, this generation's problem. You know, only if they understood the basics of life and lived a simple life. That is didactic. Okay, so these are exploratory. Okay. By the way, I'm dramatizing it all. You have to understand it. We have to overlap it on VARC. And the boundaries are not that clear, but that is what I am for, and that is what our VARC course is for. And that is why we are going to practice so much, right? But this is how we remember everything. Okay. So this is the purpose to explore. Now, these are idea thought driven tones. Okay, to explore. Now, what was our third bucket? What was our third bucket? Our third bucket was to analyze, to evaluate. Analyze, evaluate, classic positives, negatives. You tell both. You tell the positives, you tell the negatives. So, where does it go? This thing. Right? Analytical. Pros and cons, analytical tone. Supportive, if you're talking a little more positive. If you're talking a little more negative, this is analytical tone. Purpose 3, to analyze. But again, understand that if the support and the critique is too much, then it becomes persuasion also. Because this thing we learned. Persuade means you're taking a side. So if the support and critique is too much, then it becomes persuasion. Otherwise, it remains to analyze. Okay. So then these two, along with these verdict-driven tones. Verdict is what? Verdict is, this is how something is. And you understand what I'm saying and you have to believe it, what I'm saying. These are all assertive tones. They all are a part of, apart from corrective, because corrective is when you question, challenge and you correct something. But apart from that, all this marked in red belong to our purpose for to persuade. Persuade का meaning सबको पता तो है ना. Persuade is when you convince somebody of something. Okay, this is how something is. So you claim, you take a side. To persuade, these are the tones. Okay. And then lastly, we have one tone left. So it's to question or challenge. So to question or challenge, we have corrective way or cautionary way. It can happen, right? It can happen in a reflective way also. This is a bit like, overlap. This is the most challenging of it. But always remember, you thought X, but it is Y, is a questioning thing. Okay? You thought X, but it is Y. So you are correcting, you are cautioning that, see, what you thought was wrong, cautioning. It can happen in a reflective way, but if you look back, you'll realize that you were wrong. So again, reflective tone, and then it could be critical also. That what you thought was very, very wrong. You are a wrong person. So that is what makes the purpose 5, which is to question. Okay. Easiest to remember are what? To inform and explain and to explore. Okay. And then always remember, if positives, negatives, both at the equal stage, it's analysis. If you take something, some side and like convince and are like very strong in saying something, then it is to persuade, which can happen in one of these tones. And if you're questioning something that was already believed and you're like, and you are now proving it wrong, then it becomes to question or challenge.